Okay, so real quick, and we might try to let out a little bit early, but because there's a special event going on, sort of. It's the tree walk.
How do you walk the tree?
You don't walk. You don't walk the tree. They're gonna walk around around campus and look at some different trees. And is it Arbor Day? Is it? Yeah. So they're gonna walk around, look at some different trees, and we're gonna learn some about some different trees and stuff. So anyway, I want to talk real quick about your next programming assignment. So you can go ahead and get started on that if you need to, if you'd like to, and you probably should. Um, so again, go to the homepage, course homepage, and go to programming assignments. If anybody has downloaded this before this morning, I made a couple of changes to it, and I updated a few things. So this is going to be program 3, the pay stub program. There's 2 files here. There's a PDF file and then a CPP file, a source code file for you to start off with. Let's look at the instructions first. I can make that a little bit bigger. So this is just kind of a classic calculating someone's paycheck and their deductions and their net pay and all that stuff. Okay, so this program will calculate, and the goal of this program is to use the things that we've done up to this point, right? So this incorporates files. There's a couple if statements in there. There's a loop. And then there's functions, and there's passing parameters into functions. Okay. This program will calculate employees' pay based on gross salary and various deductions. Gotta love the deductions. For this payroll program, you are to read data from an input file. The output, which is in the form of a pay stub, should be written to an output file. And the file input data will be in this order. So each line of your input file is going to be a different employee, okay? So you're going to have, on each line is going to be their social security number. Those aren't real social security numbers, at least I hope not. Social security number, their pay rate, their FHW percentage, that's their federal withholding percentage, that's the amount that the percentage of their gross pay that they're going to take out for federal income tax, okay? And then the number of dependents that they have, like how many kids and stuff. That last person actually has 6 kids, so anyway. And then the number of hours they worked that week, okay? So there's an example there of some input. And your output should look something similar to this, except you're going to have, for every employee that you have, you're going to have a separate one of these, right? So if you have 5 employees in your input file, your output file is going to have 5 of these, a pay stub for each employee, right? So you're going to output their social security number, hours worked, and the gross pay, which you calculate. The federal withholding amount, not the percentage, but you're going to calculate the amount. The insurance amount that's going to be deducted for that employee. FICA amount. You guys know what FICA is? I think FICA is like your Social Security and Medicare deductions. That's what those are. And your net pay, okay? Here's some requirements. Pay overtime at 1.5 hour for hours over 40. For each dependent over 2, the cost of insurance is going to be $75 per dependent. So the first 2 kids are free. Then on top of that, it's $75 per month per dependent. All deductions are calculated against gross pay. Read all data from a text file. Use the constants defined later on this sheet. Use the functions defined below. And I've already set some of these things up inside of the code, but these are the functions I want you to have. Obviously, you're going to have a main function. a get input function that's going to read all of the input for one employee. Right. Calc gross will calculate that one employee's gross pay, and I want you to write that one as a value returning function that returns the gross pay. Calc deducts will calculate all the deductions, and then print pay stub. Okay. Here's some constants I want you to define. FICA is 4.75, overtime 1.5, regular hours is 40.0, max dependence 2, cost per ad 75. Okay, so set up those as some constants and use those constants in your code. So back over here, there's a help file to help you get started. So that's what I would strongly suggest you using. You might have to copy and paste it. I didn't put it in the zip file or anything, so you might have to copy and paste that to start off with. So if you're using Dev C++, you could just copy and paste into there. If you're using code blocks, you might have to create a project and then paste it into there or something. Where is it, Dev? I'll just do it here. So go to File and New in Dev C++ and just paste it in there. So let's take a quick look at the help file here, starting file. So here, again, obviously you just put in your name, of course, the compiler and so forth, short description. You'll have to list your include files there. So you'll need to include some things like IOStream, IOmanip, not sure if there's anything else fstream for files, right? Anything else that you might need. Put your constants here. Put your function prototypes there. I've already declared all your variables for you. If anybody downloaded the earlier version, it was from a few semesters ago where before I started trying to use camel case notation like the book does. And so I think I've updated all those. If you happen to see any old style variables in here anywhere, I apologize. I try to get them all. So I think these are the things that you input, if I remember correctly. SSN, pay rate, FWH percentage, dependence, hours worked, and all these other things are things you're going to calculate. Gross pay, net pay, deduction total, FWH amount, insurance amount, FICA amount. You'll have to declare your files. Actually, I already declared them for you. So there you go. In file and out file, you'll have to open them. And then I have comments, kind of like I did the midterm, right? So call get input, and then you've got your loop. So while in file, you'll call calc gross, call calc deducts. Here, you can just calculate net pay right here. It's simple enough. Net pay is equal to gross pay minus deduction total. You might have to, can't remember where that deduction total is. Print pay stub, call print pay stub, and call get input again for the next employee. And then close your files. And then for each of the functions, what I did was I put void or whatever in the function name, but I didn't do the parameter lists for you on most of these. So you'll have to do that. But I have notes up here, right? All parameters passed by reference. So these are the parameters that you'll send in. I'll also always pass your files by reference. If you're trying to, I didn't show that in the example, but the data type for an input file is ifstream. So you'd say ifstream ampersand in file for that. Okay. what did I say? Input in order. You're not going to input in file. That's kind of weird. Okay. And then calc gross. This one's a little bit different because I ask you to write it as a value returning function because I want you to get some more practice with that. So that one's kind of weird, or a little bit. It's not weird. It's just different. You're going to pass in the pay rate and the hours worked, and then but you'll return the gross pay. And so I declared this this is like a temporary working variable here called gross that you'll use just within the function. And so your last line will be return gross. Yeah. All right. And so you'll have an if statement in here, right? To check for overtime pay. And so use the constants like regular hours. If the number of hours worked is over regular hours, then here's how you do it. Right? Else, this is how you do it. And then here's calc deducts. Okay, so I did have deduction total as a parameter. So these you'll pass by value, these you'll pass by reference. So just follow the notes there. And then I have kind of an algorithm there to help you in the comments. And then print pay stub. Again, pass these by value, this one by reference. So you'll have to do those in the parameter list, and that's just a series of output statements. So I think we've covered everything that you need to know in order to do this. There's some other concepts that we're going to be covering next week that are important relating to functions, things like scope and lifetime of variables, function overloading, functions with default parameters. So we'll talk about those things next week. But anyway, anybody have any questions about this? and once you get into it, you'll probably have some questions, so that's to be expected. And this is due, we're going to make this due in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So this will be due, for you guys, it'll be due on the 15th, November 15th. All right. Let's stop.